Welcome to the Grizzled Game Cliches. I'm Justin Williams, and with me is...
Matthew Stalkop, as always.
What? Today is Black Friday, the day after Thanksgiving, the day the world gets trampled.
Black Friday tramples. That's actually a real thing, man.
I know, I'm sorry, I shouldn't joke about that.
I know. It's R.I.P.
I'd like to let our viewers know that trampling is not encouraged by the Grizzled Game Cliches in any way.
Not at all. Please don't trample people. Really, our message today, don't trample anyone. And
don't trample anyone at home, especially.
Oh, that's even worse.
Yeah, that's if they're just sleeping and you jump on them. That's trampling, folks.
I know a lot of dogs that do that.
Yeah, you know... I know a lot of dogs that do that too, like DAWGS.
Oh. We are now a comedy podcast.
Circus. All right.
All right, let's talk about some real stuff.
Why?
Because, Justin, I want to talk about some real stuff. So, we're becoming more active on YouTube. So, for those who don't know, we're actually, we started a YouTube channel. We started it, but we didn't really advertise it or really tell anyone about it. It was just kind of like... We started putting stuff on there. And I think you should check it out. There's some really fun stuff. Like, I'm doing a Risk of Rain daily series, which, if you've never played that game or have never seen anyone play that game, you should probably go watch me play it because it's insane.
It's really good. That game is awesome. Go play that game if you haven't played that game.
You can watch me get my ass kicked on a daily basis. This is what we're offering to you now, folks. Every single day.
And once we figure out just how to play co-op, maybe we'll play co-op with some of you guys out there too.
I feel like that's an anecdote we need at the end.
Oh yeah, for sure. Let's make it happen.
Another series going on. I don't even know if it's a series, but Justin's got the Rocket League Minute.
Rocket League Minute.
There's lots of murder in that.
Yeah. Well, at least in the first episode. So the Rocket League Minute is a minute of one game of Rocket League cut to some of the best comedy you'll probably ever see.
It's actually really
so. I don't want to put it like way up there on a pedestal, but I mean, like Sistine Chapel, and then like Rocket League Minute way above Sistine Chapel if these were scales.
Oh wow, the Sistine Chapel
or below
is actually.
I'm terrible at scales.
Yeah.
La 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 la.
Yeah, so go check that out. We're kind of evolving it as we go along. Yep. So there's not a crazy amount there now, but it's definitely going to be great. So
yeah, we're gonna nail down exactly what we want to do, kind of each day. But first, Matt has to go to his job tomorrow and figure out what he's working.
Oh, jobs! You know the thing we do to make money. So that we can do crazy things like this.
No, so that we can spend it all on Black Friday.
Yeah, all of it on Black Friday. America the Beautiful.
Yeah. So I would like just to do a shout out. If you're listening to this, I really want to hear from you.
We want to hear from you, people.
Send us an email, grizzledgamercliches@gmail.com. It will also be in the description, as well as all of our other information. And subscribe to our content on YouTube. And let us know what you like and what you don't like. Either way, I want to hear it.
There's lots of people listening, lots of people watching, but we haven't heard anything. Which I want to hear all of your bad comments. I want you to tear me apart. Tell me what I'm doing wrong, and maybe
troll me
if I'm doing something right. Maybe
it can't be YouTube if there's no one trolling us on every video, and we need that person.
Absolutely.
So please,
Justin, I see here that you're going to give a game away. What's tell me about that.
I'm gonna give a game away.
Giving away it's a giveaway, as they say.
It's a giveaway, one might say. Rhyme. But no, I'm gonna give a game away. It's gonna be Grim Dawn, and I'll post the details on Twitter and Facebook. Basically, what you're gonna do is, the usual. You're gonna go on there. You're gonna follow us, like us. Maybe just give us like a small back massage, and then you'll be entered for this giveaway, which the drawing will happen next week. Basically at our next podcast day when Matt and I have more time.
Grim Dawn is awesome.
Grim Dawn is a great game, yeah.
And
if you haven't, I'll put a link in the description below. Yeah. I'll put a link in the description below, but basically Grim Dawn is like Diablo in the sense that it's like 2.5 isometric, awesome murder in like more of a dark setting in the same way as Diablo.
The class system in that game, the little bit that I've played, that there's basically you can have two classes out of like I want to say like 8. or so, and then based off of those 2 classes, you get like sort of your own unique class. So really great game. I had a lot of fun with our Stardew Valley giveaway. That was a lot of really nice community engagement. So this is just kind of another way to get people engaged.
When we feel like Black Friday is the day to give something away, or at least to start something to be given away. So if you're interested in that, please go to our Twitter or our Facebook, and then just follow the instructions there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and by the time people are listening to this, it'll probably be up.
Oh, it'll be up. It'll be up.
All right. So that was podcast stuff out of the way. You going right into the news?
Take it to some news.
Ladies and gentlemen. So first off, we've got Ubisoft is in the news actually a few times this week. They are going to stop charging for some kinds of DLC. Basically, their words exactly are, the key is if it's not adding something on top of the actual experience of the game, then it is no good, because you'll be asking for more money for the wrong reasons. He also says, who said this? This is Ubisoft VP of Live Operations. They also said, if the content is compulsory for the gamers, it's no good as well. And I like this. What are your thoughts about this, Justin?
I love this idea. Please start making more impactful DLC. Mm-hmm. If you want me to pay for something, I don't mind paying for it, but just give me good content and not just skins. I don't want to pay for skins all the time in every single game. There are certain games where I'm like, I really like this, and I'd like to see myself in a lighter green.
Sure.
But like in this case, I think they're talking more about the add-on content as something that's more like, I guess, typically what we'd see in a season pass for Watch Dogs or Assassin's Creed.
Yeah, and I've always been under the impression, I've always been of the mindset that I actually like the idea of DLC, but it has to be done in the right way. I feel like there's a lot of developers that have sort of gone off the rails on this recently, and they've just, any little thing that they can charge you for, they're charging you for, just because they want to make an extra buck. And the crappy part about it is that people are actually buying it. That's why they're continuing to do it. You know what I mean? And I've never liked that. So I think this is a really great step, especially from Ubisoft, a developer that I've been very vocal against because I don't like them at all.
And they've been really bad at this stuff. It really has just been all these crazy amounts of skin DLCs, or like a weapon
special
DLC.
Edition this, special edition that, pay $20 extra and get a freaking robot, you know what I mean?
And it seems like they want to rededicate themselves to making a complete game. Imagine that. They also say this new way of doing things is because it is Ubisoft's responsibility to deliver gamers with the best quality possible. So I mean, that just seems like Ubisoft's really trying to turn it around for themselves in terms of public perception. So it's definitely a PR person. But.
Yeah, I definitely think this, plus them saying that they're going to go away from the annual release that we were talking about a week or two ago. All of these things combined really, I think, are great.
And going away from heavily scripted games, it seems like they just really want to they want to figure out what they do best and make it as big and bold as they can.
Right.
And maybe the scripting in those games and the more story driven games are probably more money because of all the VO and stuff that has to go into that. So if they can just focus all that effort, I think we can get some really good products from Ubisoft.
Yeah. Well, hopefully. I mean, maybe I'll play a Ubisoft game again. Who knows?
Nah, that's not going to happen. But
hey, I like Far Cry, all right?
Yeah. So Final Fantasy 15 will have a day one patch called Crown Update. So much for no day one patch Final Fantasy 15.
Right.
They delayed it so it could go gold with not a huge patch on top of it, so that all these RPG players could just put the disc in, install, and go. Looks like that's gone.
Yeah, that's
I am happy with the change, though. Some of the changes coming to it is they're updating new features and doing story enhancements. They are going to actually add in stuff from Kingsglaive and the Omen trailer. Kingsglaive is the standalone movie as the prequel of Final Fantasy 15. which will really help anyone who hasn't watched that movie, because there's a lot in there to grow and start to build relationships with these characters. And the Omen trailer, if you have not checked that out, go on YouTube right now, search Final Fantasy 15 Omen trailer, and tell me you're not hyped for this game, because that looks amazing. I am super excited. I like this change. I want it to be the best storytelling it can be, and I think that this will do that, as well as squash bugs, which I'm always for.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not at all a Final Fantasy fan. You know that.
Yeah.
So this is not... I can say I'm not hyped for this game, but I'm also not, I haven't looked into it.
I challenge you to go watch that Omen trailer and not think it's cool.
I will. So here's a quick question I just thought of. Is this going to be a game that if you are not a Final Fantasy player, like if this is your first Final Fantasy game, is this a good one to get into the series?
All Final Fantasy games, unless it's like X2 or 13.2 or whatever, are the best time to play Final Fantasy. Each of those stories are standalone titles, never interacting with the other ones.
Gotcha.
So like 15 is very much in that light too. They're taking some of the best things, it looks like, from some of the previous Final Fantasy games. So like a lot of the city building that they've done with this, like it looks almost like New York, which kind of, even though Final Fantasy VII was just, it pales in comparison in terms of the graphic fidelity, it was still kind of in that same vein of like the slums, and I think that's, well, they're doing a different side of that kind of storytelling, but I think that's what they're building with this. So they are trying to still capture those core players, but they're also doing something completely different here, which is action combat, an open world, and like masterful, lengthy storytelling, which is what they do best, but in a darker tone, darker than most Final Fantasy has been.
Okay. Interesting. See, I was always under the reason I never jumped into Final Fantasy was I figured it was too late.
Yeah. No, I think that's what most people think. There's actually another good video. If you just search Final Fantasy 15 and you go onto their main YouTube, they've got another good video, and they just talk about like gamers seeing basically the footage for the first time and gamers' memories of the game, and then they explain that too. They're like, listen, like Final Fantasy series has always been standalone titles.
Right.
With that said, I read something really interesting. Side note about Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy X had a sequel. It was the first one to have a sequel, X-2. It looks like it seems, at least based on some of the stuff I've been reading, that X-3 might be a thing that's going to be after Final Fantasy VII Remake.
That Final Fantasy VII Remake hasn't come out yet?
No, because they're going to be doing it episodic in chunks. So
okay. Interesting.
So that's going to be awesome. Final Fantasy 15 comes out on Tuesday. Again, I'm starting to feel really ill. I probably won't be into work. I probably am gonna. I'm probably not, but Jess is probably gonna leave me, who's my fiance, and it's gonna be rough. But I think I'm gonna beat that game. So
I think you're gonna make it. So anyway, this is our last podcast until the end of December. Just kidding. All right, so moving right along, Ubisoft, again in the news, my favorite company to talk about.
I know.
They're doing 30 days of giveaways. So this is actually interesting because it's, obviously it's almost, close enough to December, but it's like an advent calendar type deal. But it's also their 30th anniversary. So, congratulations to Ubisoft for 30 years of fucking gamers over.
Nope.
No, anyway, yeah.
Incorrect.
I love Ubisoft.
I know. There's so much love there.
I know. So anyway, it looks like there's some pretty good stuff. It looks like, though, you have to go to the page and then actually sign in to get the deal or get the giveaway. Yeah. And right now... go ahead.
It seems to me like it's going to be mostly then related to games themselves. They're going to give some games away, I'm sure, like Rayman. But I imagine it's mostly going to be like costumes and shit. Well, yeah. Or Uplay points.
Well, and it's also like, so today's deal is that you get the thing and then you get 75% off certain Ubisoft PC games. The news article I'm looking at doesn't say. It just says, and
well, yeah, because it hasn't started technically until
right. When does December. It start?
I believe it's December 1st, isn't it?
I think it starts today.
Oh, really? That's
Yeah.
weird. Oh, wait, no, that makes sense, actually.
Yeah.
Because 25 days, yeah.
Right, yeah. So it starts today. Yeah, and then the last day would be on, I think, Christmas. So, yeah.
Yeah, so free stuff. Go get it.
Free stuff. I have, like I said, today they're giving the certain percentage off of video games. Like Justin said, it might be them giving away games. It might be, I'm
sure, I don't think they have enough games to give away a game for 30 days. So that's why I say that.
So this is something that they're saying. It says you can sign up anytime during the 30-day period. However, some giveaways are of limited quantity and will be provided on a first-come, first-served basis. Others will be limited to certain dates and will not be available during the entire giveaway. So maybe that means they are going to give out keys, but they're only going to have a certain number of keys. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what's... I'm gonna sign up for it. Why not? I mean, it's free stuff.
So today's giveaway is Rayman Classic on mobile.
Right.
So that, I mean, that's cool.
Why not? I mean, again, it's free.
And those Rayman games are really good on mobile. So if you haven't tried them, go play them.
Yeah.
Looks like Nintendo Switch is in the news again.
Of course.
A source all but confirmed that, or the GameStop CEO or a GameStop investor all but confirmed that a movement-related game is more fun for kids. Taking those accessories off, the detachable Joy-Con pads. You can really do a lot of interesting things in that gameplay.
Oh, yeah.
So motion controls confirmed for the Switch. And that doesn't surprise me based on that trailer.
Yeah.
Where the guy took them off on the airplane, and he was sitting there, and it really looked like it was just going to have like Wii controls at that point.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, this is awesome because, they really have to play to both of this console's strengths. Like they're going to have to say, well, this is a mobile console, so here's a bunch of really cool mobile stuff like the DS, but then it also has to say this is also a home console that you're going to plug in your living room, and you're going to want to do all those things that you're used to doing on the Wii U, etc. So
exactly.
I think we all kind of knew this was eventually going to happen, but Nintendo has been keeping everything under pretty serious wraps, so it's been hard to get any... mostly everything we've been getting has just been leaked. And
I think that with the Nintendo Switch, it's really obviously we're going to get more in January, but I think this was kind of a no-brainer because I think about, so even if it's not that the Joy-Cons actually have motion controls in the end, I think about when I play my 3DS and I aim with my 3DS, and when you aim, it does the similar to like the Wii U, I guess, with the gamepad, but it has the tilt motion control. So you can really get a fine detail aiming without having to like mess with joysticks all the time. Right. And so I really like that when I play Zelda, and I'm hoping that that's in Zelda because I love when I pull out my bow, just being able to be like clink, and just basically twitch the controller, get it exactly where I want it, and then fire.
Well, and I also think that Nintendo...
seems seamless.
Nintendo was really the first one in the game with motion controls. I think it would be kind of silly for them at this point to put out a brand new console and not include that.
Yeah, to drop that would be absolutely silly. The other part of that is Splatoon is a game that utilizes that kind of control scheme a lot. And so it's going to have motion controls,
and that's
if they want to bring
Switch,
Splatoon.
Right? I mean, there's
it was in the trailer, but I imagine they're just going to remaster the current version and make it look a little better, and then port it over.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're going to make like Splatoon 2. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, like I said, I figured all these things we've been talking about with the Switch. I pretty much figured all this was going to happen, but the problem right now is that it's all mostly confirmed. You know what I mean? We won't know obviously until January what is actually confirmed, but a lot of this stuff seems pretty plausible. So.
So I have a question for you. Did you want to, on this podcast, did you actually want to end up doing something like Game of the Year for us?
Yeah, I thought about that a little bit. I would say, sure, why not? We could do like individual Game of the Years, like,
or like different genres or something, and each have a Game of the Year for those genres. Sure. It's so hard to nail down, though. I mean,
but we could definitely do like a special edition podcast.
Yeah. It's been a great year for video games. Matt, what are you playing right now?
So right now, I'm actually recording a lot, which is
Crazy.
It's weird because when we first started this, I told Justin I have no intention of recording myself, but then I started doing it and I can't stop. So I'm playing a lot of Risk of Rain. Like I'm doing the daily, but I'm also in my off time playing like 3 or 4 games of that a day because I am just god awful at that game. And then I got the wireless adapter from my Xbox One controller, so I've been trying to play it on controller, and I think I'm just going to stick with keyboard because
next level right there.
I'm like 10 hours in, and I can't change at this point. So yeah, if anyone's been watching the daily, they can see how bad I am at that game. But I'm gonna get better. So I've been playing a lot of that. That game is just it's so great. Like it's just I could go on all day about how great that game is. And then obviously I'm playing RimWorld, which I'm also recording, and our little colony is doing pretty well. One of our characters, Leslie, no one likes her, and so she had her first mental breakdown, which is just great. Well, so what happened was they all landed, right? 3 colonists landed, and then she was married to one of the guys. That guy divorced her on their first day. Right? So then they were with another guy. There's 2 guys and a girl, and then she tried to romance the other guy, and he not only turned her down, but he also started insulting her for some reason.
What?
So like nobody likes Leslie at all. Nobody likes Leslie. And so yeah, she kind of had a little bit of a mental breakdown, and it's turning to be quite the entertaining little drama we have going on.
Oh man, what do you anticipate is going to happen in RimWorld?
I anticipate
based on your playthrough.
I anticipate we're going to get to like episode 15, and then we're going to get raided and all die. We've already been raided. I'm on the hardest difficulty. Like
right, I saw that. Yeah.
So we're eventually going to die to a raid. I don't think it's it's a when. It's going to happen because the way they ramp up the difficulty in those is that it's just eventually impossible. You know. Mm-hmm. So. I mean, at this point, it's just see how many episodes we can survive, because who knows? Who knows how far we're going to get.
RimWorld Survival. Survivor, I should say.
I've been playing some Rocket League.
Oh.
Another game I'm horrible at.
Are you getting any better?
I feel like I am. I feel like when I get into matches with people of my skill level, I feel like I do really well. Although a lot of the time, it's just 6 cars trying to hit a ball, and it's not good. But I've made some really cool plays in that game.
Have you recorded any of those plays?
No, I haven't. I probably should though.
They have a replay mode in that built in as well.
Do
so
they
if you
really?
get done with the game, you can save your replay.
Oh, see, I'm gonna have to look at that. Yeah, because that's a really fun game. I find it hard, like just playing by myself, to sit down and play it for more than about 30 minutes, you know?
Yeah.
I'll sit down, I'll play maybe 2 or 3 rounds, and then I'm like, okay, well, I'm gonna move on to something else. But I think that's a game where really, if you're playing with other people, if I had like a full team of 3 people, I could play it for hours, I'm sure.
You know, what we should do is we should do a Rocket League stream if we can get it working, and then we should drink and just play that for like 4 hours or something, and just see it devolve over time.
I was gonna say that is last
the best
hour
game. Yeah. That's the best game to drink to.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, besides those 2 games, I'm really sinking my teeth into Dragon's Dogma.
Tell me about it. Who's your character? Like, what are you speccing into?
Well, I got it with the Humble Monthly, and I paid early so that I could get it because it was a game that I wanted to play. But I didn't want to pay full price for it. So anyway, it's really,
games are so cheap though.
It's really good. I picked the mage character to start, which I'm almost...
No surprise there.
I'm almost kind of regretting because their magic system, at least right now, is not terribly interesting.
Yeah.
And I feel like it would have been so much more fun to be just a warrior character, just kind of in the middle of a thing, middle of combat, just bashing heads in.
Right.
But I also found out, just with a little bit of some wiki, that they have like hybrid classes. So I'm either going to go like the mage warrior class or like the mage archer class, because I don't think I want to be just pure mage. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I don't know, can you switch your class in that game? Like, can you change? I don't think you can.
I can't remember. I see. I played it a while ago, like when it first came out, and I think Giant Bomb was talking about it. One person on Giant Bomb was just super into that game. And you know what? I think it was Austin Walker, and it was the Beastcast.
Okay,
is what it was. Anyway, yeah. So I'm not sure. I haven't played in a long time.
But in terms of my thoughts, it's really good. I mean, besides like the magic system leaving a little bit to be desired, I also got to remember that it's an older game, right? Like,
yeah, I think it was on PS3 to begin with.
Yeah. So it's not, this gen by any means, but yeah, the magic system's kind of interesting. I keep thinking that it's like Dark Souls, and I keep hitting the right analog stick to target people, which is not how that combat works.
No,
which is
it's not.
A little bit misleading, but yeah, I mean the combat's really fun. It's this weird like JRPG feel to it though, where like the story makes no goddamn sense.
It's wonderful.
Like, it's great. I'm not complaining. It does it really well.
Yeah,
but it reminds me I'm getting such like Dark Souls vibes from it, because the story in Dark Souls made absolutely no goddamn sense at all.
Did this game come out before Dark Souls?
I don't have it in front of me. Dark Souls was like 360 PS3 game, so
yeah. So was Dogma though.
Oh, well.
But either way, yeah.
Yeah. So the story is, I mean, it's okay. I kind of have a feeling of what's going on, but also at the same time, I have zero idea what is going on. In all the right ways, though, not any of the bad ways.
I enjoy getting companions and like just reaming people basically with them, like because I did like a tank spec, so I just run into combat and flail my sword around, but it feels good. The game feels really responsive and really quick.
Absolutely, yeah. And I'm not gonna lie, I picked up one of my pawns because you can do that, and I hucked him off a cliff.
Oh, nice!
I love that the game lets you do that.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, why not? Fuck it, off you go.
Yeah.
Bye. So yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing.
Nice.
Lots of recording,
lots of action, and then RimWorld,
and then RimWorld, where
it's all about systems.
I'm gonna record that today, and I have no idea what's gonna happen, because we're kind of at a point where I think Leslie is still mentally broken. So
poor Leslie.
I know.
We probably should have like a doctor come see her or something and make sure she's still safe to be alone.
Yeah, she might hurt herself.
Yeah. On that note, I've been playing a game called Pokemon Sun.
What's that? What? No.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that before.
Pokemon Sun and Moon are out. And okay, so I played the demo, and you played the demo.
It was
you
so
got a good idea.
So good.
It's such a revitalization for the series. It feels like when I stepped into Pokemon. I think it was Pokemon Black. I think that was with the new like kind of more 3D-esque elements.
Yep.
And they took it and they went, okay, well, why haven't we actually made full-size people? Which for me, that's awesome.
Oh yeah.
Everything has an actual scale. So like when you run into a youngster, dude looks tiny.
Yeah.
And I love that.
He looks like a kid. He's not the same height as everyone else.
Exactly. And I mean, I get Pokemon style and all that, but this is just so refreshing to see for someone who has grown with it. It finally has grown with me. That's how it feels like.
Yeah.
And like the combat is better than ever. They have tightened weird things. Like, so all the music is phenomenal and uses a lot of ukulele, and I love that.
Nice.
But the stuff that they've tightened are like the level ups, like just noise used to be really long and kind of go on for a little bit and not let you do anything while it happened or like skip anything. And so it would just like have a weird pause in the gameplay. Well, now it's just like I think it's the bum 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 ba-ba-da-ba-da, right? But it's like ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba-da, and that's it. And they're just like, we're not messing around this time. We don't care about that
Gotta
music.
Go back
we
and
just
play more
care that
Pokemon.
you got levels. You got to play Pokemon now, like, and the variety seems really good. I've gotten an Alola Meowth, and a Alola what's the other one? Oh crap, Rattata. And
Nice.
it's really interesting to see these like revamped versions of your favorite stuff, you know, like
Right.
it's amazing. I don't know. I think I'm going to be playing this for a while. I know that Jess, my fiance, is way ahead of me already. She doesn't stop playing it, and I love that. So
I don't do this with a lot of games, but I don't actually have a 3DS. Like Estrella has a 2DS, but that is too small for my big beefy hands. So this is the one that I've considered buying a 3DS to get this game. I mean, also the amazing library that the 3DS has, because there's lots of really great games on there.
Yeah, there are a lot of them.
But yeah, this is the one, because when I did play that demo on Estrella's 2DS, I was like, oh my.
Yeah, and one of the big changes too, I'd say, is that the landscape itself, it feels more 3D. It doesn't feel like super flat anymore and just on the same plane.
Well, what was a big deal for me
everything kind of shifts and moves.
What was such a big deal for me in that demo was that it's not 4 directions of movement. You know what I mean? That's awesome. I mean, that in and of itself is such a huge step forward for the series.
Right.
And then the full scale people as well. That was awesome.
Yeah, I think and even like the way that they've decided to do animation in this one. So like you'll get into a battle, and instead of like having someone just like bouncing back and forth like, I'm gonna murder you and I'm holding a Pokeball out, like it's much more stylized. So like you get into a battle and they move into like a pose, and then they just freeze, and then it does like this cool shadow effect off to the side of them. And I don't know, everything feels like really heavily Nintendo is what the best way to say it. Like it feels so polished for a Pokemon game.
Well, and one thing that I was actually interested in is there's no gyms in this one, right?
No, it's kahunas. So you go through and you fight like the kahunas champions, kind of. I can't remember what they're called exactly. And then you work your way up to an island's kahuna, and then you jump islands that way.
Oh, so you actually are jumping between different areas?
That is my understanding. Yeah, I haven't gotten to the kahuna yet, so I don't know exactly what happens after it, but they say it's the island's kahuna, so I imagine you probably are going to leave after that.
Because it's set in like a Hawaii type thing, right? So there's just a bunch of different little islands.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh, man, I really want that game.
It's really good, really good. The other game I've been playing a lot of is Rocket League.
Yeah.
I love Rocket League. I love to hit cars against the giant soccer ball, and I really love those moments where it feels like everything, like it's the closest game you've ever been in. Everything is on the line, and then you pull it out.
Yes.
Like, you know.
Or because I'm a total noob, and when I'm playing with other noobs, like you know, we're going back and forth, and no one scored a goal in like 2 minutes. And then finally and this happened to me, like it just gets set up perfectly and I just spike it right in.
Yeah.
Some of the most satisfying moments right there. And we actually
you just eye it from downfield and you're like, oh, I know what's going to happen.
And then that game we actually ended up losing.
Oh, wow.
In the last 10 seconds, it was tied the whole time. No, that one we went into overtime because it was 1-1. And so we were in overtime for like 3 minutes. Back and forth, and then it was so close, but they got the goal in the end. Which
man,
you know, but I'm not even upset that we lost. Like I didn't even care. It was a fun game. Like it was good. You know,
that game is extremely fun. I think I'm interested to see its progression over time, because it already has like all of these other ideas that they're playing around with, like the hockey and the basketball and all of the Rocket Lab stuff, which just is like modifications to gravity and giving you items to, what was that one called?
Rumble? Was it Rumble?
Rumble, yeah. Giving you items to like grab a ball or
here's a
turn
giant
it into
boxing
spikes,
glove.
or freeze it, or that one is so cool, and I don't know how to play it at all.
I actually, when we first started playing, that's what we played, and I was so confused as to what was happening. And then I think that was the one where my controller it kept cutting out.
Yeah, it was dying all the time.
I was just
like, fun.
Oh man! But even with all that, I still had such a great time playing that game.
I know. I always look back on that game with the utmost fondness. Like, it just speaks to me in a way games haven't in a long time.
Yeah.
It's simple and to the point, and I love it about it.
It's simple and it's fun. Like, I feel like it's just kind of a broad statement, but I feel like there are a lot of games that are trying to do certain things, like they're trying to do, this new thing or like whatever, and they somewhere along the way lose the fact that games are supposed to be fun first and foremost.
It's all about the gameplay. And so what we've seen is an industry that has turned to cinematic game making, and cinematic game making is slow and
it's
and
fun to
usually
watch.
Poorly paced.
Yeah, it's fun to watch, but it's not if it's not fun to play, like, what's the point of this being a game? I mean,
exactly.
I felt that this way about video games for the longest time, especially the biggest, offenders of this are AAA titles.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And yeah, anyway, I could probably go on about this for a while, but the one thing...
No, go ahead. I kind of want to hear it.
But it's kind of what I was talking about. I mean, there are so many game developers out there that are making these really big games. This is why I don't really buy AAA titles anymore. I mean, it's pretty rare when I actually... Like, Titanfall 2 is a prime example. That game is fun. I mean, at its core, that game is just good fun. I mean, there's a lot of, interesting new mechanics, and there's this and there's that, and the Titans are cool, but it's also just a really fun game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why I really love...
And it comes down to that great gameplay.
Yes.
Like, the gameplay in that game is so fast and fluid, and you always feel in control. It's when you take that control away from the player and that level of complexity to the movement, like, that you have problems. Like, I would say... like I've been playing a lot of Assassin's Creed Rogue as well, and there are times where I feel limited, but that is what that game does so well. Like, the story is crap, and they don't need to make it. Like, they just tell me I'm gonna go get a piece of Eden, and that's the story, and I'm fine. Like, let me go murder people, let me go explore this island, let me craft, let me do all the cool open world things. But Assassin's Creed combat has gotten so good over the years. Like, going from Assassin's Creed 2 to Syndicate, you just notice this giant jump. Like, most things stuck to the Assassin's Creed 2 and kind of Batman-esque counter system. And then Syndicate was this departure where, yes, there was a counter system, but it was also about brawling, and everything felt like you were just in the streets of London just beating the crap out of one another.
Right.
And that's fun, right? Because then they go into, what does it feel like to brawl? And then you start to see that in the animations themselves. And I think that's what I hope that's what we're seeing with the industry. They're going, oh, people are really responding to this thing.
Right.
Like, why aren't we making this? And I think maybe even Ubisoft, the piece in the news, is a direct response to that.
Right. Well, and I love a good story just as much as the next guy, but I don't want a good story at the expense of gameplay. I want good gameplay first and foremost, and then story later. Case in point, Dragon's Dogma. I don't understand that story for crap right now, and I'm like 3 hours in. But that gameplay is solid. I want to go and do these side missions and go do these things because it's just fun to do. I could really, at this point, care less about the story. I mean, it's okay, but it's nothing to write home about. But yeah, I feel like a lot of games are trying so hard to get a good story out there that the gameplay suffers, or like the gameplay almost in some games feels like it's just a means to an end. Like this gameplay is just sort of a diversion to get you to the next cutscene or to the next big event or the next whatever, like another game like Dark Souls 1, like there's a story in place, but good luck on trying to understand it.
Right.
If
you want to understand that story, go on YouTube. Yes. Someone's already built it out for you to try and help you understand.
And you'll be watching it for about a couple hours trying to figure out what was going on there. But that's not the point of that game. The point of that game is it has solid gameplay. It's difficult, but it's at its core it is good, solid gameplay. So yeah. So anyway, that's my rant. Rocket League is great. Go play it.
Rocket League is awesome. I've been playing Shovel Knight as well.
Oh, you tell me about that.
So I bought Shovel Knight on 3DS a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I had these problems because I have some carpal tunnel, and it was exacerbated kind of by my other job at the time.
Right.
And And so 3DS and me didn't go well together because that game is not super ergonomic, or that game system isn't super ergonomic.
Nope.
So I bought some things and rigged a thing to kind of make it like more like a controller on the back. And now it's great. But that aside, Shovel Knight is an amazing game. I can't remember the name of the developers. It's basically, though, a throwback to like SNES, NES era.
Yeah.
And it's a platformer first and foremost.
Dude, that music.
But the music is amazing. I think isn't that? No, that's not Danny. That's Crypto the Necrodancer. But this one is more like, I guess it kind of takes some cues from Link 2, which was a little more side-scrolly Zelda game.
Yep.
And I think what is the best thing about this is it feels like it's right out of that era. It doesn't feel like an ode to anything.
Right.
It feels like it belongs in that time. And I think actually they did a release. I think it was an NES cartridge where they made a cartridge of the game and they released it so people could just play it on that console.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's really fun. It's super challenging when you get further along. I just posted a video actually about it, and I'm gonna do a playthrough series on it. It is a long platformer with lots of gems. That's the best way to describe this game. Gems. And platformers inherently are really, really difficult, especially when you get like midway into the game. And this game takes that and goes like times 11.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's brutal, but rewarding.
I don't need another super difficult platformer in my life.
You don't need another Meat Boy?
No, God, Meat Boy. Risk of Rain's already got it. It's already got me.
Oh yeah. I just love difficult platformers. I'm a sucker for them, and it hurts me inside, but I get through it. So
yeah, that game looks really good.
Yeah.
I watched that video of yours, and it looks really good. The art style is just bonkers.
Oh, phenomenal.
Yeah.